All right, welcome to MazzaMedia. I am Mark, and we are live on YouTube. Here we go. I'm ready to rock and roll. So I want you to take a good look at this face because it's the last time you're going to see this face in the manner that you see it this morning. These glasses that you're seeing on my face, this is the official retirement ceremony for these glasses. I've had these glasses for a couple of years now. And unfortunately, as you get older, you need new lenses. I get a slight adjustment every couple of years, but that's it. So these glasses are going off permanently, and these glasses are going on. So there you go. There's the new look right there. These things are retiring. I like the new ones better, actually. So these new lenses, I started wearing them late last night. I usually like to give myself a little bit of an adjustment period. So this is what I used to look like right there. These old ones are going, and then there's the new ones. I like the new ones better. I like the black frame at the top there, so that's pretty good. The lenses are actually a little bigger on this too, which is pretty cool. So there we go. That's the news. That's some personal news to kick off the show today. LTL Live is just wrapping up right now. He had a very solid, very good show, very great show, I should say, this morning. And yeah, I like the black top on this as well. Looks good with the black frame and all that. So it's good. Like, I usually like to start wearing new glasses late at night. Like the last 3 or 4 hours I'm awake, just to give my eyes some time to kind of get a little taste of them. Yeah, these didn't really have like the. It's going to be sad to see these go. They're almost like a golden brown at the top there, but it's always like an identity change every time you get a new pair of glasses. But I know I have a stronger lens, a slight stronger lens, a little bit every so often. It's a little bit more. So I had a little issue with my basketball glasses. So I wear for martial arts, for sports. And they're telling me, like, oh, we don't replace lenses for the frame you got. So I had to go down this week and buy a new sports, frames. Basically my Kurt Rambuses or my Kareems or Amari Stoudemire's. I got those. They're actually ready now. I actually got a text earlier, but I'm going to get them later in the week. So that is good. But yeah, the LTL raid's going on right now. Brian had a great show. There's a link pinned to the top of the chat today. Brian is going to do the first ever in-studio show in his studio. It's not going to actually be in a studio. It's going to be in that building. I guess he's renting a space. And he's invited me to participate as a guest on August 3rd. So that link is pinned to the top of the chat. And we will have guests there. There'll be a pizza. There'll be a live show. I think there's going to be a meet and greet for like an hour and a half, and then there's going to be a live show in that building. And then beyond that, we're going to take live questions from the audience that's there as well, which is going to be really awesome. So it should be very good, and I'm looking forward to that show with LTL. People calling them BLT, bacon, lettuce, and tomatoes. And I always say if you have a BLT with mayonnaise, isn't it a BLTM? But I don't know. BLTs are my favorite sub when I was like 10, 11 years old. I love BLTs, but I like turkey BLT a lot too. Roast beef and bacon subs are really good as well. My favorite sub is an Italian sub, though. That's my absolute favorite. So it is Saturday morning. It's still Saturday morning. And I just want to adjust my fan a little bit before I get going here. 1 second. This fan every single time this fan. Okay, there we go. Just wanted to, I've been to Regatta. Oh, I've had the Regatta subs before. The bread rolls are huge. I usually get double meat when I used to go there in Worcester. Double meat on those. I think they're a little thin on their meat. But those Regatta subs are absolutely the bomb. I used to get those quite often years ago. I went down to Nardelli's in Connecticut a couple months ago. I've been wanting to go there for a long time, which was fantastic. So I have an award here. This is my appreciation award presented to Mark MazzaMedia from LTL Media for the Best Guest Award. I got this on Sunday from Brian when I was live in his studio. So that is a look at that award right there. There you are. So it's a nice, very nice award. This is my second award that I've ever gotten. This means I'm a two-time award-winning journalist, I believe, is what I should say. So I'm happy and thankful for this award, and to have this award. That's got a Best Guest Award, Best Massachusetts Guest from the Young Jerks, and an Appreciation Award from Brian LTL for the Best Guest. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Proud to have those awards. And it was a very, very busy 2024 and 2025. That much is for sure. And it was a lot of trips to that studio, a lot of appearances on that show, and as well as the Young Jerks. And it was a great run. And I told Brian the other day, when we were doing a show in his studio on Sunday, I said it's kind of like I almost feel like I'm having a little bit of an identity crisis post Karen Retrial, because I was so driven towards fighting for her to not be, fighting for her to be not guilty, fighting for her freedom, raising funds constantly on my show, and even joining other shows that ran fundraisers. That once it was all said and done, it's kind of like, what now? Right? What now? Because it's kind of like I've built so much of a path for myself in terms of this is what I talk about, this is what I fight for, I raise money. Then all of a sudden it's just poof, it's gone, which is fantastic. That's what we always wanted. And I said, I need to start like identifying exactly mentally what needs to be done here. And I think one of those is for these people that are responsible for this to go down. And I hate to say this, but I'm talking legally, lawfully, professionally. There's a lot of people that need to go down in terms of through the law, through justice, meeting exactly what needs to be happening to them in terms of going down. And 1 second, sorry. I had a video playing in the background out of nowhere. Sorry about that. I started hearing a JetBlue advertisement. I'm like, what's going on back there? I was trying to find it through all my tabs. But these people that have perpetrated this, that have corroborated this, that have been involved, they need to be brought to justice. And I think that's one of the things that we have to do. I think additionally, and probably as a priority, is Turtle Boy. And basically the outstanding charges that he has against him right now, that there's still a moment here where in the fallout of this trial, Aiden Carney, Turtle Boy, is still in a situation, just a little bit, still in a situation where he's fighting for his freedom. He is fighting for everything that needs to be done. I think things are going to go very well for Aiden. I think that he's going to prevail. I think that this judge is very favorable. I mean, you had a judge the other day that literally fanboyed in court for Mark Bettero. Mr. Bettero! I was like, did I just hear that? Did I just hear that? But, Mark Bettero is like Christmas morning. When you see Christmas morning come about, and you see Mark Bettero, it's like Christmas morning sometimes. You're excited. It's a feeling of joy when you see Mark Bettero. Everybody's a big fan of Mark Bettero, respects him, loves him, everything he does. But I think that, Aiden's comments following his appearance in court were very accurate. That these charges are obviously, as we all know, preposterous. Even if there's even a speck of violation, and I don't think there's a speck, there is basically they've multiplied it times about 1,000 to make it seem like Aiden is more guilty, is guilty essentially of a crime or something like that, which is absolutely ridiculous. And we saw what happened to the Canton Nine and Richie Schiffer, and how much all that was exaggerated. And once it all kind of came down to it all, it was over. And I think for Aiden, there was a way of trying to weaponize things against him to make him ineffectual, which all failed, by the way. And I also believe that, in a sense, he you saw what happened when they tried to list him as a witness in the trial. That was all done tactically by the prosecution, by the Commonwealth. And that's what they've tried to do. They've tried to limit Aiden's reach because he has essentially within our, even beyond the Karen Read supporters and his own supporters, his reach has been almost boundless in a sense that it has expanded exponentially throughout both trials. His YouTube reach, his Twitter reach is expanded exponentially. If not doubled or tripled compared to what it was 2 years ago. So, they had to try to silence him and shut him up. And I thought that all these charges were just holdover charges, just to basically stamp things on Aiden, get things on Aiden, try to prohibit him and limit him as much as possible. And then once the trial was over, eventually all these charges would just go poof into thin air and Aiden would be able to walk free. If you're betting, he'll never see the inside of a cell again. And quite frankly, I think you should sue a lot of people for having never be inside of a cell. And it's crazy to think that, of all the people he's called out, that he's the one that had to spend 60 days in a cell, which is absolutely insane. And if that doesn't validate the amount of power that the powers that be in the state of Massachusetts have, I don't know what does, because that was very, very, very shocking. And it's hard to believe that in 5 months, that would have been 2 years ago. Which is insane now. I remember when I started following this case through his article in April 2023. It's hard to believe it's been over 2 years. 2 years of our lives, and many people might have followed this sooner or whatever. I know I started to hear about this in April 2023, and then in May of 2023, I started to take on a bigger interest. Then by June and July 2023, my mind was off to the races, and to Twitter I went. But, there's an awful lot of fallout going on right now, which is the purpose of this particular show, is that we're finding out. I don't think I'm going to do fantasy football. I did fantasy football last year. I didn't even follow it all that much. I'm kind of getting tired because sports betting is available. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do it. I don't know. Last year, I don't know. I didn't want to do it last year. Maybe my friend's like, "Are you not going to do it this year?" I'm like, "No, I don't think so." But I look at all the fallout that's going on right now, and there's so much out there that's going on, and we're literally seeing, essentially Sodom and Gomorrah. If you have any biblical knowledge, you know what Sodom and Gomorrah is, which is a city absolute meeting its fall. Is basically what this kind of feels like, is just people are going down, they're being reassigned, they're resigning, they're being fired, they're quitting, they're being placed on leave, they're disappearing, they're moving. This is exactly what's happening. And it brings it back to the same point again, which is if Karen Read did what they said she did, then why, oh why, would they, in any case or any sense, ever believe that Karen Read was guilty in the first place? And that's kind of my argument, is if Karen Read, according to them, was as guilty as they said, then there would never be any fallout. There would never be any controversies. They basically, it would just be all these people would still be where they are. There'd be no need to reassign anybody to any of their police locations. There would be no need of that. There would basically be, let's put it this way. If Karen Read had been truly guilty and Karen Read had been acquitted, none of this news would be coming out right now. There'd be no eyebrow raising. There would be no reason for us to sit here and say to ourselves, "Oh my God, look what happened to this person and that person." Aiden put out a list the other day with like 20 people on it. And what's happened to all of them. None of this would be happening if Karen Read was truly guilty, regardless of what the verdict was. But because Karen Read was truly innocent, and the verdict was that she was innocent, except for the OUI, which is a slap on the wrist, let's just be honest about that, then there would be no need for all this news to come out. We would not be talking about all this stuff right now. This news would not be coming out if this wasn't the case. But it just goes to show you, and it just goes to validate you all along, that once the curtain is pulled back, there's just a simple guy operating that machine, presenting himself as this great face in the sky, screaming and yelling at the top of his lungs, presenting himself as the Wizard of Oz, the great and powerful. And then when you pull back the curtain, it's just a guy. The fucking little dog pulled back the curtain in that movie and shows, look, it's just a guy back there operating a machine. It's bullshit. He's not this guy. You know, that's basically what this whole thing is. It's the land of Oz. The Wizard of Oz is not what he presents himself to be. It's a ruse. It's a total sham. It's been a total power play for the longest time. They're trying to BS everybody. They're trying to BS you. They're trying to BS me. They're trying to BS everybody. And that has been the game plan from the word go. And the word go was on January 29th, 2022. And they were playing their playbook. They never thought that this thing would ever get popularized. They thought that Karen would think she did it. They thought that Karen would plea. They never thought that Karen would fight. They never thought that Turtle Boy would start using his blog to start presenting this case. They never thought that Turtle Boy would popularize it. They never thought other content creators would show up. They never thought that Boots on the Ground would show up. They never thought that this thing would pick up wind on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, even TikTok. They never thought any of this. And by the end of the day, this became a matter that was huge on social media. It was huge in Massachusetts, on local news. It was huge across the entire Eastern Seaboard, the entire United States. It was popular in multiple countries. This thing took on, like Aiden said, a life of its own. And it did. It truly did. People from all over the place, myself and many others, coming out of the woodwork to talk about this, to fight for this. I was like you guys. I never did stand out before in my life. I was never someone you'd see holding the signs and, you know, spending my Saturdays and Sundays occasionally at a standout, you know, going on YouTube and talking about true crime. Never talked about true crime all that much on my channel. It was always sports and movies on my show and some pop culture stuff. That's about what my channel was for years, from 2018 through 2023. You know, never thought that this was going to happen. And they never thought this either. And the light is shining down right now, and it's shining even brighter now that the trial's over. And this is the importance of why this trial needed to end, was to get things moving even quicker, was to get the spotlight on these people and these powers that be even quicker. Commissioner Cox, for example. We're going to talk about that on today's show. That is on the agenda. Thank you, Sham Wow. I like the sunglasses. The CW is essentially operating a Ponzi scheme. The ending will be so bad and everyone will know everything. Exactly. And right now it's like an onion. Layer by layer, the skin is coming off. Layer by layer of the onion is peeling off, and it is starting to unravel. And I think it's happening even quick. I mean, we're 3 or 4 weeks. Was it 3 weeks ago now? This trial ended. And look how much more new information is already coming out. Look how suspicious all this stuff is. And I'll tell you, the federal government, I don't know what their priority is. I don't know what their involvement is. I don't know what stage or phase they are in right now when it comes to researching and investigating this. But I hope that they step in soon. I really do. I hope that they're able to make some arrests. I really do. I really hope so. You know, at this point, you know, I'm sorry, but, you know, people say, oh, you know, you're just being a sore winner. I'm not being a sore winner at all. And I'll tell you why I'm not being a sore winner. Because at the end of the day, if free Karen Read is truly justice for John O'Keefe, then this means that the justice for John O'Keefe must still be fought. Because if Karen Read did not do this, and John O'Keefe has not gotten justice, then the fight for justice for John O'Keefe must still go on. And I think that that's what part of this is about right now, too, is that the justice for John O'Keefe is a fight that still must go on. Because Karen, you know, if you open up door number 1 and the sign says in the door, it says, sorry, Karen Read is not the suspect. She's not guilty. Please try door number 2, 3, 4, or 5, right? So door number 1 has already been fought. For 3.5 years, door number 1 was the primary discussion, which is Karen Read did it. And then most of us disagreed with that, had to fight that. That's what justice for John O'Keefe has been. That's been the trench fight for 3.5 years since 2022. Has been a fight about side A says Karen Read did this, side B says Karen Read did not. And there's been an absolutely massive fight for 3.5 years just to get to the point where we say, Karen Read didn't do this. 2 juries agree. Neither jury could convict her. She has been acquitted. There you go. And that's been the fight. Phase 2 is just beginning right now. Phase 2 has been on hold for 3.5 years. You've had these anti-Karen Read people, these anti-Karen Read voices all over the internet trying to tell us for years that Karen Read supporters don't want justice for John O'Keefe because they solely believe that Karen Read did this. Karen Read did not do this. And they think that, oh, you guys don't want justice for John O'Keefe because you think Karen Read did this. Excuse me, Karen Read did not do this. And if you think Karen Read did not do this, then you don't want justice for Karen Read because we believe that John O'Keefe did do this. Excuse me, we believe that Karen Read did kill John O'Keefe. And that's basically what this has all been about for the longest time, is this fight online for way too long between anti-Karen Read and free Karen Read, with these people insisting that Karen Read did this. And as a result, saying, oh, we don't care about justice for John O'Keefe because inherently Karen Read must have done that, and that's undisputed, which is total nonsense. Karen Read never did this. 24 jurors agree. Karen Read was presented, her case was presented by the Commonwealth and prosecution before 24 jurors that were selected to determine the verdict. In both cases, neither jury was able to convict Karen Read for the murder of John O'Keefe because, quite frankly, she didn't do this. And in interviews following the retrial, as we know, jurors number 1, who was the foreman, and juror number 11, Paula, who has been very vocal on social media, including X, and has been on several shows, have said that not only do they believe Karen Read, Karen Read was innocent because of reasonable doubt, but that also they didn't think that she did it at all. There you go. So it's very decisive. Jurors could not convict Karen Read because the evidence shows very clearly that Karen Read never did this. And again, for 3.5 years, we have fought for Karen Read's innocence. I mean, we argued with these people for years online about the most ridiculous things. And when it's presented to the jury who knew nothing about the case practically, oh, she's innocent. No question, she did not do this. No question about it at all. So now that brings us to the next phase, which is justice for John O'Keefe. And what is justice for John O'Keefe? Justice for John O'Keefe would be the ability to have justice for John O'Keefe be declared through the incrimination of anybody that was responsible for this at any level in the state whatsoever. And that's what needs to be done here. And as a result, there's been a lot of maneuvering going on by the DA's office. There's been a lot of maneuvering going on behind the scenes right now because all of a sudden, now that Karen Read, and this is the issue a year ago, is we wanted Karen Read acquitted so we could begin this phase and see what's starting to happen now happen. And it was delayed for a whole another year, which is why I was so frustrated, like many other people, that this trial, the second trial, may have gone to a third trial. I was very worried that they were going to try to pull that. And don't believe for a second that Judge Cannoni would not have forced a third trial if she had the opportunity to do so. Believe you me, that judge was looking for any angle she could possibly manifest to force a third trial. I don't care if this trial ended in 2 trials. That judge was looking for an angle to get a third trial. You can bet she was looking for it because she was able to find a loophole in the first trial, and she got through it all, and that second trial went all the way through. That judge, I guarantee you, this is my projection, my prediction, is that she would have forced a third trial if she could have. They were trying to kick this can down the road as long as they could. They were trying to cost Karen Read as much money as they possibly could. They were trying to basically bankrupt her, and they were trying to pull money from our pockets to prevent her from being able to defend herself, to put her in a situation that was tougher than ever. And I know, and we all know, that Karen Read was feeling that pinch. And it was very much at a fever pitch come the end of that second trial. and it would have been very difficult. I mean, Karen would have still prevailed, though. I don't know how many trials would have gone on, but you have to imagine how much this weighed on Alan Jackson and Eliza Little, too, who flew in back and forth across the country all the time, constantly having to fight this and having to fly back and forth for all the hearings and all the trials again, which would have been madness. How many times do you need to present the same case before a jury without it being definitive? And finally, it all worked out. It all worked out. An OUI charge, fine, so be it. That's fine, understandable. If that's what they want to convict her on, so be it. But those higher level charges, she didn't do it, and they saw that. So that's very good news. And now we move on to bigger and better things, which is starting to look at exactly what's going on out there. And that is that prosecutor Hank Brennan was basically paid. I believe his originally going to be $250,000. It ended up going over $500,000. Hank Brennan made $566 million. 566. I'm sorry, I'm way off. $566,000. I'm sorry about $1 million. My mistake. My math's off. $566,000, not $1 million. I got $500,000 and 1,000. My words got confused there. But almost over $500,000. Okay, $566,000. He made $566 zillion. No, $1,000. I'm sorry, folks. Like MazzaMedia is putting out fake news more than ever. He went on a show today and said that Hank Brennan made $566 million. No. I added an extra couple zeros there. My mistake, folks. $566,000 he made. So that's a lot of money right there. I'll tell you. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us. Well, I actually wonder how many people that were Karen Read supporters that would you guys have sold out for that kind of money to convict Karen Read for a trial that you knew she was going to win anyways? I mean, because that's basic. I mean, the guy got the deal of a lifetime. $566,000 to take on a trial that was a total dud that they needed to rig the first time around. And now you look at everything here and it's like, I mean, geez, $566,000 to take on a case that was basically a total. Everyone's saying, no, we wouldn't have done that to Karen. No, I wouldn't have done that. You couldn't pay me enough money to do that to Karen. Hell no. But yeah, $1 bajillion. No, $500,000. They should make another Austin Powers movie. Those movies are funny. But yeah, the guy the guy's making a killing. I mean, the guy paid for his yacht, his vacation home. It's like, dude, I mean, that's a prosecutor's dream right there. You mean to tell me all I have to do is go into court every day and pretend to believe that a woman is guilty and present the facts a certain way, and you're going to pay me $566,000, not million, to do this? It's outrageous. But I mean, for him, it's total steal. To him, it's total victory. For us, people in the state of Massachusetts, people in the Commonwealth of Norfolk County, you should be outraged. You should be outraged right now that this has gone up. This money has been absolutely used. Taxpayer money has been used in this manner. And not only that, all the money that went into the expenses of the second trial and all the money that went to the Dedham Police, the state police, all the money that was expensed there, all the hours over two trials. Nan Gallagher, thank you. By doubling down against Karen, the Commonwealth strengthened her 1983 civil action. Keep showing up, Mazza. Nan Gallagher, thank you so much. One of the things that's been great about Karen Read supporters has been all of the attorneys that have gotten involved, from Nan Gallagher to Mark Federow to Melanie Little, to the lawyer Peter Dragle, brother counsel, the DUI guy, Tepper. Attorney Tepper as well. I hope I'm saying his name right. So many attorneys have gotten involved, which has been great because they've given us the educational opportunity to get legal expertise and live legal reaction to what's going on a day-by-day basis. So we're thankful for that as well. Sham Wow says, I've always had the belief in my heart that the OKeefe family has always known the truth, but are afraid of the McAlberts if they separate for them. That's a very interesting theory. I won't offer my opinion on that, but I will say that is a reasonable belief or argument to have. I would say it's definitely something that's a theory to have that could be definitely justified. So a very interesting remark there. But it's interesting. I've always been intrigued. I've never said anything negative about the OKeefe family. That's one thing I won't do. I know that there's many of us that have negative things to say about them. I just won't do it. The reason why I won't do it is because I think at the end of the day, my opinion is regardless of whatever their opinion is, I still see them as a family that lost a family member. And just for me, I just can't, I just can't say anything. I don't want to say anything negative about them. I just try to. I'm not saying you are. I'm not saying anybody else is. But I just tried to avoid that. I just tried to talk about the other people. I mean, at the end of the day, they're free to believe what they believe. Whatever their thoughts are, whatever their position is, that's their decision. I don't, like I said, I wish that they would see Karen Read's innocence, but it's not my place to speak on that. I try to leave that alone. But no, I think that that's an interesting theory for sure. What is their association? Is there any, if any, that's interesting to know. So, I just think, it's a bad situation, for that family. But for me, I believe, like I've always said too, like my belief in Karen Read's innocence, I've never seen as a stance against the OKeefe family. I've always seen it as my stance is that this is what I believe based on how I see things, and it's not meant to act against their family or act against John. Because I see freeing Karen Read as justice for John OKeefe based on the information that I see. And I believe that the evidence supports that. ARCA supports that. Dr. Marie Russell supports that, as well as the 24 jurors that did not convict Karen Read for any of this as well. So I think that when you look across the board, it is a very strong argument to prove as a matter of fact that Karen Read is factually innocent, which she is. So that's my stance. And, I don't know. I'm not going to speak for them. I don't know their belief system or viewpoints on this, and I'm just going to leave it alone. But I think that what ShamWow said is an interesting theory. I'd be intrigued to know. I'd always like to know everything, or I think we're generally curious people, but, it'd be interesting to know what, how this all came about, how I know some of the reasons why, but, that's that. So again, Hank Brennan made a lot of money, $566,000, and all the money. And someone's saying it here. Hank, Lally, McLaughlin, police courts, experts, all the trials. I mean, the amount of money that went into all of this, it's like a low budget movie. It's at least $1 million minimum. I think it was $90,000 in overtime pay for Dedham police officers. That's not including state police officers. And then you have to tie that into the first trial. And that's a lot of money right there. I mean, I'm not even going to begin to estimate it, but it's not $566 million. I can tell you that much, but it's definitely over $1 million. It's probably easily over $2 million, but that's a lot of money. This is all taxpayer money. People who live in Norfolk County basically their taxes. They're hard-earned dollar. It's hard enough you pay property taxes and meal taxes and all these other taxes, insurance, all the stuff you got to pay to survive, all the bills, your electricities, your utilities, your cable bills, your streaming. Tepper says $2.8 million for both trials, essentially for two trials. That's how much money he estimates. And that's, I would say, a great argument could be made for minimally. And someone says $400,000 to Aperture alone. So you're looking close to $1 million just for Aperture and Hank Brennan. $966,000 essentially on an estimate. Close enough. Thank you, KRS Factually Innocent. I appreciate it. I got 2 awards now. I'm thankful for that. I greatly appreciate what LTL and the Young Jerks have given me, and for the people that voted for me to win the award. Right, and all that for an OUI/DUI. It is absolute madness. It is. It absolutely is madness, the amount of money that's been expensed here. So let's take a look at a few things. So let's talk about this now. I want to switch gears. All right, let me find my post, and I'm going to read it verbatim. I'll grab a drink of water, too. I think I'm going to go about 2 hours today, I think. I'm probably going to be on for a while. Then I got to lift some weights. I got to do some walking. You got a lot of stuff I got to do. Actually, you know what? I got to get my new chainsaw chain because I'm at war with some pine trees that are growing. and I don't like these pine trees anymore. If I don't cut them now, they're going to cost thousands of dollars to have professionally removed in about 3 or 4 years. So they got to go. Maybe I'll just rehome them. But when anti-Karen Read have told you for months that you're crazy to believe that many people could be involved in the cover-up of John O'Keefe's murder and the framing of Karen Read, but then, and let me repeat, I'm going to start this post. When anti-Karen Read people have told you for months that you're crazy to believe that many people could be involved in the cover-up of John O'Keefe's murder and framing of Karen Read, but then an entire list of people resign, get reassigned, get fired, retire, and move. That stands out to me quite a bit. That's all I got to say about that. This stands out to me quite a bit. We have a lot of people out there that are finding themselves in different positions today than they had before. And this goes down to some of these individuals right here have all found themselves in different sets of circumstances, from fired to disciplined and rehomed to retired to resigning to desk duty to on leave to missing. Many, many people have gone in different directions following this particular case. That's all I need to say about that. That is something that's been very notable. And how can you sit there and say to yourself, if Karen Read was always guilty, and we were all, if for an example that anti-Karen Read was right and they're not, if for any reason we were always wrong about this, and for some reason thousands of us are just off our rocker, and these anti-Karen Read people were smarter than us the entire time and knew better, and Karen Read truly did do this, and Aperture and Arca happened to be wrong and all that, and it was really taillight that caused the wounds and not taillight, and we were wrong, then why would these people all be moving on in their lives in the way that they are? Extensive moving, a lot's been going on. This all wouldn't be going on if Karen Read was truly guilty. If she was truly innocent, and then she was by verdict declared innocent, well, there might be some shifting and some moving. And there's a lot of suspicious stuff going on right now. A lot of people have moved on. Michael Proctor's trying to get his job back. He's trying to pretend he's innocent, or believing he has reason to believe that he shouldn't be fired from his job, that he should, he's just a good guy. To me, I'm sorry, but when you start to send text messages like that, how do you come back from that? How do you come back from that? Ever. It's mind-numbing. It truly is. It absolutely is absolutely insane. And that's where I kind of look at this as more verification that we're right. And that's the thing. Since we've been following this case for years, do we not always see that over time we are continuously proven more right than we were before? And this is all that's happened. It took a long time. It took years to see these results. But over time, we all stuck together, fought the fight. Like Nan Gallagher says, we kept showing up, and look what's happened. Change has come about because we, the people, stood up against the powers that be and said this woman is innocent and the government must be held accountable at every single level, whether it's town or state or county, must be held accountable. We have seen, this is why I like to wear red, white, and blue. Mazza's red, media is white, my shirt's blue. Red, white, and blue, because that's what this country is all about. Because the amendments and the Constitution in this country exist. They are law. People have rights, right? People have freedoms in this country, and they will not be infringed upon. And that's the stance that I think, regardless of your politics, whether you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, or you're anything else, Libertarian, Green Party, whatever. We're still Americans at the end of the day. And I think that as Americans, political beliefs aside, I think when it comes down to things like this is where we can all centrally agree as Americans. Thank you, LTL. And thank you for this award. I appreciate it. Right here. Thank you. Appreciation Award. The Mark MazzaMedia presented by LTL Media for Best Guest. Thank you for that award, Brian. Appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. And when you get your government, and I don't care what level this is at, pulling all these strings, using all their power, people in positions, people that are civil servants, that are your police at your local levels and your state levels, and these people just believe, oh, well, we can just do whatever the fuck we want. And I'm gonna F-bomb a little bit because I'm fired up. I don't usually F-bomb, but I'm occasionally gonna F-bomb on this show because I'm fired up right now. Brian had a great show earlier. These people just think, oh, we can just do whatever we want. We can just call certain people in the state police and certain people, and we know certain people in town, and we can just manifest whatever we need to pin it on the girl and blame Karen. And then as a result, force her to spend years of her life fighting this in court. And even though this trial's over, she's still going to have to fight this in civil court if this doesn't get dismissed. Karen Read has to go on the defensive now because certain people don't want to go down, and certain people have the powers that they can use to do whatever they need. I mean, think about the amount of power. Even though these people are going to go down over time, and even if they don't go down in this life, they'll probably go down in another. These people had enough power and enough connections to force this thing to go on for 3.5 years. That's how much power they had. It literally took over 50,000 people that were supporting Karen Read, minimum, to fight this fight. It took how many people to raise over $1 million on Karen Read's defense fund? It took how many people to raise money for Turtle Boy? How many people had to participate and had to fight back against power and against the established power at the town, county, and state level in Massachusetts to help this woman get acquitted? And even despite all of our efforts, all of the time, all of the people, all of the money, we still had to fight through 2 trials to get this done. That's how hard it was for us to prevail. That it literally was a 3.5-year fight for Karen Read, and for most of us, a 2.5-year fight. That's how crazy this was. That's how involved and how expanded this thing was, that we had to fight like hell. We had to have people organize. Deanna, Bobby Silva, Paul Cristoforo, many other people organize a website to organize standouts, to absolutely coordinate our efforts across Norfolk County, across this state, across this country, across this planet, to get the word out. This was a multi-tier effort to free Karen Read, from social media to public to everyone taking on roles that fit themselves according to their liking. People in the town of Canton, people in the county of Norfolk, people in the state of Massachusetts. All of this had to happen. We had to, Turtle Boy went to jail for 60 days just for being a journalist, just for writing about this, just for simply writing about all this. They haul him off to jail twice. They arrest him twice. They haul him off to jail once. These are the things that have gone on in this state. And these people in power literally thought they could get away with all this. They literally thought they could get away. They literally thought they could do this to Karen Read. They could do this to Aiden Carney. They could do this to the Canton 9. They could do this they could just do whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted, to anybody. And just say, we're not going to be screwed with. We're big, we're powerful, and you, the people, will sit down and shut up. And we, the people, did not sit down and shut up. Anytime they tried to corner Karen or Aiden or any one of us, everybody backed up that person or that group of individuals. Money was donated to the Canton 9, Nick Rocco, Jenna Rocco, Deanna, Meredith, so many others. This was insane. It's insane looking back now at how insane it's actually been. And that it took 2 trials to get through this thing. And these people thought that they had the power to pull this off. And you know what? We had to fight them every step of the way. And they fought back every step of the way, didn't they? Oh, they fought right back against us, didn't they? They tried to shut up Turtle Boy. Tried to shut up everybody. They really, really, really tried really, really hard. And because so many of us stood up, and this is what they talk about. We don't, we have to stand up to our government. And I sometimes feel in this country that they want us to be divided. Always arguing amongst ourselves instead of arguing against them. And I feel in this particular case, we were so unified, so determined, so resistant that we just never backed down. We never gave up. And as a result of this, you're starting to see people fall apart and crumble. You have trolls on X that are starting to go into hiding now. Trolls that were taking the fight to us, replying to our posts. We most of us never replied to theirs. Coming after us day in and day out, telling us we were wrong, insulting us, making fun of our appearances, all that stuff. And sure, we did that to them too. Not that I did much, but some of us did. But now they're starting to lock their accounts on X because these are the people that shut off their mouths and tried to get into it with one of the jurors, and now all of a sudden they're starting to go into hiding because evil may win a few battles. It may hold good captive for a while. It may be a dark cloud over the land for a while. It may be a storm for a while, but all storms eventually go away. All damages caused by storms are usually mended. And good always prevails over evil. Good always triumphs over evil. Truth always prevails over lies, right? Fact always prevails over fiction. And that's exactly what's happened here. We were not out here saying certain people were involved, just dependent on people because we felt that Karen Read was innocent. We felt that these individuals were involved, at least in some level, to frame Karen Read for the murder of John O'Keefe, to do whatever they can. That's all it is. That's all that's going on. That's all that's going on here. And that's all that this has been for the longest time. It is absolutely an all-out attempt to silence people. We're gonna frame Karen, we're gonna put her in prison, and nobody's gonna say anything about this. And if anybody does, we're gonna insult them and come after them and do all this stuff. This is all that this has been. This is all. I don't know what this post is. It says at MazzaMedia, clicks Mazza for 5 clicks. Clicks Mazza for clicks, 5 minutes of fame. I don't know what that means. If I wanted fame, I'd be doing other things to be famous. I don't need to be famous. I didn't even want to put my image on screen for the longest time. But I don't know if that's a negative comment or a positive comment. I don't know. You can explain it. But this is what's going on in this particular state. And it's an issue. And Gallagher said this multiple times on his show. As an American citizen, and Gallagher doesn't live in Massachusetts, but this is a very concerning issue for him. With the viewpoints he has on life and how he sees our country, the Gallagher does not like what he sees in Massachusetts. And this is concerning for a lot of people outside of the state that look at what's going on in the state of Massachusetts and say, wow, they're really willing to do that to Karen Read and Aiden Carney. They really are. And this is what they're going for. That this is insane. This is an outrage, and it is an outrage, and we should be outraged. Why should we not be outraged? And there's people out there that should be giving us answers. And Commissioner Cox, who's the police commissioner and chief of the Boston Police Department, was interviewed this past week, and we're going to go ahead and we are going to play his interview right now. All right, there we go. All right, so this is Commissioner Cox, this is Michael Cox. He's the police commissioner and chief of police in the Boston Police Department. Now, he was interviewed this week, and he had a lot to say. He had a lot to say. Well, not much to say, but he had things to say in response to this. But this is one of the things that we'd like to see in our state, is that people are asked questions and people are giving us answers to that question. That's a big thing. And Denise Knoll says it's not just happening in Massachusetts. Look at Richard Allen. So this is a great argument here to say, look beyond Massachusetts, and this is happening other places as well. Very good point, Denise. Thank you. All right, let's play some of this interview. I'm going to cut this up a little bit and interject from time to time, but he was asked some questions here by the media. Let's get to the beginning. All the local media was here for this. You see the microphones here. Channel 5, Channel 4 WVZ, and Channel 7 were among some of the local media that were there for this interview.
Your name came up during the recent Karen.
Hey guys, if you can't hear this, let me know. I'm going to raise the volume here.
Your name came up during the recent Karen Reed trial. You got a visit from Officer Kelly Dever. The defense implied that you influenced her testimony. Do you want to respond to that?
I have nothing to do with it. I have nothing to do with Karen Reed. Matter of fact, I didn't even know this person was associated with the Karen Reed case. You know, I have an organization full of over 3,000 people, and we support all our folks. And the reality is that, you know, I get information passed on, whether people are high or low, and I encourage everyone.
My issue with him so far, hopefully you guys can hear this through the audio here. My issue with him already, yeah, see that it's said right away here by Denisha says it right here immediately. I'm waiting for body language analysis. Immediately in the comments, someone is immediately, this is exactly what I wanted to talk about, was just the body language so far. It's very, I don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't know. You can tell me. I don't know. You tell me. Many people, you know, it's kind of like, it's not. Yep, you got it. No problem, Little Miss Red Velvet OG. Thank you so much. All right, you've clarified your comment. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Sorry, I just didn't understand your comment, so I didn't know if it was negative, but Little Miss Red Velvet OG has clarified that she was not here to make a negative comment and just wants to clarify. You know, she supports she supports Karen Reed as well, and just as requested, she just asked that I present this to the whole chat here just to make sure she's in good standing with all of us, and we want to make sure that that is clarified. So that everyone can think well of her. She has clarified her comment. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. And initially, I didn't want to villainize your comment. I was just asking a question about whether or not what the context of that is. So thank you so much for clarifying that. And we see you in good standing. Thank you so much. All right. They all thought they could outsmart Karen Reed. This is just the beginning of why can't I say that word today? The catastrophic ending. I can't wait. Yeah, I know. I agree as well. It's little by little as well. So I agree with that as well. Definitely. It's the House of Cards is falling. That is for sure. Okay. So again, the body language here is obviously something that stands out to me. I think this is not a stern answer. This is not a stable response where I think that if he was telling the truth, that he would probably be more like, so this is my answer. No, we did. No, we didn't. No, we did not. Except he's kind of all over the place. He's jumping. He's nervous. He's shaky.
Right. And if you're going to work here and you belong here, then we're going to encourage you. I have no idea what they're talking about with Karen Reed. It had nothing to do with Karen Reed. No discussion.
Did you tell Officer Dever to do the right thing?
I didn't know she was even associated with that case. So, you know, I don't know. I was struck like, what do I have to do with the Karen Reed race? I never have said those words together. And so the fact is, you know, it's much to do about nothing. We have employees here that we have to develop and encourage and do things. And I do that for tons of our employees.
Do you feel that you were inappropriately drawn into this as some sort of boogeyman?
That case is over. And, you know, we've got a lot of other stuff to talk about. I have nothing to do with Karen Reed. I was in the state of Michigan. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, that tells you a big story right there. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate your comment. Thank you so much, Little Miss Red Velvet OG. yeah, it's a word salad. It's all over the place. He's definitely highly inconsistent in his response, nervous at that, you know, and he's shaking. He's shaking. He's not like I said. I expect, especially out of someone in police business, I typically expect a strong, stern stance, and someone that's not, you know, shaken like that. Not, I wouldn't say necessarily nervously shaking, but he's not. He's not. I'm getting the poll ready. And almost ready for the poll here. All right, a poll's coming up right now. Give us your opinion on Michael Cox. Is he truthful or untruthful? Let's take a look at that. Let's see what you guys think right now. The poll is up on the screen. And I'd imagine it's going to be very high against them right here. Untruthful is already up to 96%. 4% are saying, 3% are saying truthful. 4% say truthful. But maybe some of the people are accidentally clicking the wrong option. Could that be possible? Unless we have some trolls among us. I don't know. Welcome, anti-Karen Reed people. Oh, boy. Well, yeah, I mean, he's kind of laughing it off. You know, he's nervously laughing it off. I don't have anything to do with this. I don't know. I don't know. So we got 97% right now. We'll let this thing get up a little higher, but over 120. Boy, oh boy. That thing's holding at 93%. Say he's, unless, like I said, people must have hit the wrong button. Who put truthful? Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, right. Yeah, right. There we go. 4%. All right. So we'll just say 96%. We'll end the poll here. All right. Poll's ended. All right. 96% say he is untruthful. Yeah. Someone's saying, who on earth is saying truthful? Exactly. 100%. So, yeah, that's, like I said, very nervous energy here from him. And he is, you know, again, very, very nervous there. And I just don't believe him. My gut instinct tells me I just don't believe him. Maybe there might have been some truth in there, but I don't believe. I don't know. I just feel like he was. To me, it felt like he was fibbing this whole thing to me. That's the impression that I get. It's the impression that I get. All right, let's share the screen. Let's play this edit here from Joe Flipperhead. All right, this next edit is from Joe Flipperhead, our guy. And this is an edit comparing what Michael Cox says in comparison to what Kelly Dever says of the Boston Police. So let's play this. It's the impression that I get.
Your name came up during the recent Karen Reed trial. You got a visit from Officer Kelly Dever.
Did you have a conversation with
the way he reacts immediately here? Watch his initial reaction.
Your name came up during the recent Karen Reed trial. You got a visit.
He immediately is like this.
From Officer Kelly Dever.
Did you have a conversation with anybody in the commissioner's office at Boston Police Department?
Not about anything malicious.
I didn't use the word malicious.
Yeah, so Alan Jackson immediately catches her on that. She says, well, not about anything malicious. And Alan Jackson quickly, you know, calls that out and says, well, I didn't say malicious. I meant any conversation at all.
Your name came up during the recent Karen Reed trial. You got a visit from Officer Kelly Dever.
Did you have a conversation with anybody in the commissioner's office at Boston Police Department?
Not about anything malicious.
I didn't use the word malicious. Why do you say malicious?
Not only does he call out, well, I didn't say malicious, he immediately goes into questioning this. Why do you say? Because I thought that was a great moment by Alan Jackson. He has many great moments, if not always great moments. But I felt that Alan Jackson could have let it go. He could have said, well, I didn't say malicious. I asked about my original question. But then, now that she's introduced, the fact that she didn't talk to them about anything malicious. Alan Jackson does not pivot back to his original question and restate it. He actually gets her to elaborate on the fact, well, why did you say the word malicious just there for? What's that all about? That's brilliant attorneying right there. Love it.
I had a conversation. Malicious.
I didn't use the word malicious. Why do you say malicious?
I had a conversation, but it was my department saying, regardless of what I need to say on the stand, they support me.
I didn't know she was even associated with that case.
It was.
Let's play this back again here. We're going to dissect this quite a bit.
I had a conversation, but it was my department saying, regardless of what I need to say on the stand, they
On the stand, right.
support me.
I didn't know she was even associated with that case.
It was my department saying.
I didn't use.
So here we have Kelly Dever. And this is why I think Britt Happens, thank you as well. Me and Britt Happens were trying, I couldn't remember who posted this video. I was trying to desperately find it before I went up live today because this was such a great edit. Because I think that even though you dissect Michael Cox's interview, and even though you dissect Kelly Dever's, what she said on the stand or testimony, I really like this edit. And something in my mind said, I think Joe Flipperhead made this, my guy Joe Flipperhead. So I just like this edit because it's very well done. And I think it kind of really shows the contradictions that are going on here between the two. Yeah, what I needed to say on the stand, Jermaine. Yes, correct. Yeah. And I like the fact that she says, she cites her department numerous times here. She cites them. My department, my department, my department. My department supports me. My department this, my department that. Then you have Commissioner Cox, and he's like, well, I didn't know anything about this. You mean you're a commissioner of police, and you're not aware of the controversies of officers that are being called as witnesses in your department? As a commissioner, you don't want to know, regardless of whatever may or may not have gone on. I just want to say this. You mean to tell me as a commissioner, you're not aware of your officers that are in your department that are or are not witnesses in cases? You don't have any information on that. You're not made aware of that. This is not a subject for concern or anything like that. This is just, oh, well, I don't know. Well, she's clearly citing the department.
Word malicious. Why do you say malicious?
I had a conversation, but it was my department saying, regardless of what I need to say on the stand, they support me.
I didn't know she was even associated with that case.
It was my department
Again.
saying, regardless of what I need to say on the stand, they support me.
And I want to clear this up. At some point, did the commissioner say to you that Boston Police Department, insofar as your connection to this case is concerned?
I didn't know she was even associated with that case.
At some point, did the commissioner say to you that Boston Police Department, insofar as your connection to this case is concerned, Boston Police Department fully supports you?
Yes.
The Boston Police Department fully supports you. She says yes. She said yes. Nurse of interest, Jackie. I like this image you got here. It's like a nurse, and it almost looks like a detective at the same time. I like this image. He was unprepared for, but he shouldn't be. Boston Police Department also needs to be held accountable on lack of support for John OKeefe, who was on the force too. That's a powerful comment. I like that. That's a great point. That's a really great point. John OKeefe is a Boston Police Department after all. I like that. I like this avatar you got here. I like the nurse gimmick with the detective, look as well. That's a pretty cool image. All right. Yeah, this is insanity. But this is par for the course, though, folks, right? This is what we've come to expect from a lot of the people in power that are just shooting their mouths off all the time in terms of, well, I don't know, blah, 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 blah. Then you'd have sworn testimony here, to the contrary.
Case is concerned.
I didn't know she was even associated with that case.
At some point, did the commissioner say to you that Boston Police Department, insofar as your connection to this case is concerned, Boston Police Department fully supports you?
Yes.
I have nothing to do with Karen Reed. Matter of fact, I didn't even know this person was associated with the Karen Reed case. So, I don't know. I was struck like, what do I have to do with the Karen Reed case? I never have said those words together.
Oh. What do you think? What do you think about that, folks? I just, oh my goodness. She referenced her department multiple times in her sworn testimony. Multiple times. My department, my department. I think commissioners typically know these kind of things. I'm sorry, folks. He doesn't want to declare that to the media, but that's that right there. So that's absolutely insane. Let's take a look at what I got next here. All right, I got an article to talk about. Which one do I get to talk about? Let's see. Oh, yep, we got this one. Yeah, let's talk about Boston 25 next. Okay, let's talk about that. Let's do this next. I remember I was in the Registry of Deeds. I was in the lower level of the building. It was before, it was the first day of jury deliberation. And I was down there and I was hanging out with Jess Machado and another gentleman. And he said to me, he goes, "You take a lot of notes, Mazza?" And I said, "I typically don't. I typically have a rundown sheet. And I don't take notes. I just have a rundown sheet. I kind of look at the details I want to talk about, look at the resources I want to use, and then kind of go from there." So I usually just have like a list that I keep on my phone, that I drafted before the show, and just kind of go down that list as we go here. So I don't like this upper header here they got on this web page. I do not like that at all. Come on, buttons. Yeah, see, look at that. They keep that header. Let's resize it. There we go. Let's just do it. Oh, perfect. There we go. All right, great. That's much better now. All right. Now, one thing I don't like is this. Okay, maybe that works. Okay. Let's see how it looks much better on screen. Perfect. All right. This looks much better. Yeah, reader mode. I think that's it, right? I think I got it. That should be fine. All right. A Boston police officer who, let's check one more thing. All right. A Boston police officer who testified, I'll only read the headline, sorry. 25 investigates. Reed defense demands Boston officer be placed on the Brady list. All right. This is by Ted Daniel. This article came out at 5:17 p.m. yesterday. A Boston police officer who testified at Karen Reed's murder retrial is now the subject of a scathing letter from Karen Reed's defense attorney, Alan Jackson, who is demanding she be added to Boston's Brady list for officers with credibility issues. The letter, addressed to Boston Police Commissioner Michael Cox and obtained exclusively by 25 Investigates, alleges Officer Kelly Devers' credibility is irreparably compromised. So this is an example of the defense team not being satisfied with winning in court and having the attitude that, look, this is just not about Karen Reed being acquitted. This is about justice. This is about justice. This is about an ongoing fight, an ongoing matter, and grave concerns, quote unquote, grave concerns that Karen Reed's defense team has. Jackson's letter stems from Devers' June 2nd testimony in Karen Reed's retrial, where she stated she did not observe anything unusual in the Canton Police Department Sallyport garage on January 29th, 2022, the day John O'Keefe was killed. Dever was working as a Canton police officer at the time and working overtime. Jackson's letter highlights a conflicting account. 1 second, I might have just froze. Sorry. Jackson's letter highlights a conflicting account from the now closed federal investigation of the Reed matter. Jackson states that Dever previously told FBI agents she saw ATF agent Brian Higgins and then Canton Police Chief Ken Berkowitz in the Sallyport where Reed's Lexus had been towed for a wildly long time. In court, Dever recanted this, describing it as a distorted memory, adding, at this point, it would be a lie to state it. Would you like to read more? Yes, I would like to read more. All right. What do we got here? That's the letter. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Dever testified that she was presented with evidence that she had concluded her overtime shift before Massachusetts State Police detectives brought Karen Reed's Lexus to Canton. Okay. Jackson's letter asserts, one second. Jackson's letter asserts either Officer Dever lied about having a false memory, or she actually suffers from a condition that subjects her to false memories. He further emphasized, including specifics about the monitors she was viewing at the dispatch desk. The Brady List is a critical tool for tracking law enforcement officers with a history of misconduct or credibility concerns, which can impact their ability to testify in court. Jackson's demand seeks to have Dever permanently labeled as untruthful, a designation that could severely limit her future role in legal proceedings. Jackson's letter does not address a separate conversation Dever testified about having with Boston Police Commissioner Michael Cox regarding her involvement in the Karen Reed case. Dever stated Cox told her simply to tell the truth. So this letter right here is verifying and validating, based on what the defense is stating, that Cox himself told Dever to simply tell the truth, which means that the commissioner knew about the case, which he denied in his interview publicly before the media, in that interview that aired, that we just showed on the screen moments ago on this very program. He says that, so forth and so on. The defense is stating, although Reed, who is with us today, thank you, Kelly Reed, for tuning in. You are the best. Back to this. This alleged conversation on Thursday, Commissioner Cox denied any knowledge, stating, I have no idea what they're talking about with Karen Reed. I had nothing to do with Karen Reed. No discussion about Karen Reed. Boston police did not immediately respond to a request for comment regarding Jackson's letter. Attempts to reach Dever for comment have also been. So there you go. And once again, folks, you tell me what you think, but it's all shady. It's all suspicious once again about what's going on there. And Kelly says the Karen Reed says we are doing okay one day at a time. Absolutely. I absolutely glad you guys are doing what you can and adjusting to post-trial life. That's for sure. So our prayers are certainly with the Reed family, and hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. And what a time for trial to end too, where you still get July and August to enjoy the summer and all that stuff. And that's great about a lot of things going down right now. So we're definitely looking good, and we are happy with the verdict and what's going on like that. It's a little laggy today. Hopefully my screen's still presenting itself good. So let's see here. One moment. All right. 1 second. Just want to make sure I'm good to go here. Sorry, folks. I'm having a little bit of a lag. I don't know how this is coming up on screen right now. Let me just close this tab. I might be good now. Close that tab. Okay, good. Should be good now. Hopefully, I am good to go. One second. We may be having temporary difficulties here, folks. Just gotta give it about 30 seconds. There we go. All right, should be back. All right, am I back? There we go. I just had a little bit of a computer issue there. Occasionally, I get a little bit of a lag every so often. So It happens. Sometimes when I'm messing around with the screens, the system just goes wonky. All right, so let's get this ready. We're going to get the letters ready now. Okay, let's get those prepared. All right, there we go. Let's see how I want to share this. I think I'm going to share this in, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's post these. I'm going to get the letters from the defense on the screen. That looks good. And then how about the other? Perfect. Copy image address. And so what I do is when you try to share the images on Twitter, they don't come off as good. So it's better to have an opportunity to expand it to the web location instead. That way, yeah, it's definitely more readable here. Okay, this is perfect. When you open it in the web browser instead of on Twitter, it makes it more readable. All right, so this should be the first one. Perfect. Okay, great. All right, here we go. We got a drink of water here. Okay, this is from Alan Jackson, Mark Worksman, Kelly Quinn, Caleb Mason, Eliza Little, Karen Sosa, Jacqueline Sparagna, and Nia Wall. This is to Michael Cox, the police commissioner. Let me see. I'm going to get this expanded. Let's zoom this in. And I'm going to go a little bit more. Let's go to 400. 300 should work. There we go. That looks good. 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 Perfect. All right. This is the letter that was written and sent to Washington Commissioner Michael Cox. Dated July 10th. This is a response to Brady Giglio disclosure, Officer Kelly Dever. Dear Commissioner Cox, pursuant to the obligations established under Brady v. Maryland, 373 U.S. 83, 1963, and Giglio versus United States, 405 U.S. 105, 1972, this letter serves formal notice that a member of your department, Officer Kelly Dever, must be included in the Brady database. The grounds for her mandatory inclusion in the database are outlined below. Hopefully you guys can see all this good enough. As you are no doubt aware, Officer Dever was a witness called by the defense in the matter of Commonwealth versus Karen Reed, a high-profile murder case that was tried for the second time in Norfolk Superior Court, April 2025. The case received extensive national and international media coverage. Officer Dever's involvement in the case stemmed from her interview with agents from the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation, during which interview Officer Dever explained to the agents in detail her observations of former Canton Police Chief Kenneth Berkowitz and Special Agent Brian Higgins of the Bureau of ATF in the Sallyport garage of the Canton Police Department, right? So this is basically citing. She talked to the feds, right? She explained to the feds. This involves the Canton Police Department's Sallyport garage, right? She describes seeing both individuals enter the Sallyport garage of the CPD where the SUV in question was located on January 29th, 2022. Officer Dever described in indelible detail that she witnessed Chief Berkowitz and Mr. Higgins go into the Sallyport and stay there for a wildly long time, and that she thought it was weird that a witness on the case, Higgins, would have access to a seminal piece of evidence, the SUV, in the investigation. During her lengthy interview with the federal agents, she articulated her observations in considerable detail, including specifics about the monitors she was viewing at the dispatch desk. She described at length her observations of the two men entering the Sallyport with the SUV. Officer Dever claimed no issues with her memory, and she was clear with the agents that she made her observation. Let's switch. Okay. She made her observations in the afternoon or early evening of January 29, 2022, at the end of her shift after the SUV had been secured in the Sallyport. Subsequent There, too, the federal authorities provided a report of their interview with Officer Dever, both to the prosecution and to the defense in the Reed matter. In or about April 2025, the defense issued a subpoena for Officer Dever to testify in the murder trial, and on June 2nd, 2025, she was subsequently called and sworn to testify before the jury. During her testimony under oath, Officer Dever changed her statement, claiming that she did not make those statements to the federal agents, but that her observations of Chief Berkowitz and Mr. Higgins were now a false memory. She maintained under oath and throughout her testimony that the events she described to the federal agents never happened, that the memory she was recounting was false, and that the event she described did not actually occur. It is clear, therefore, that one of two things is true. Either Officer Dever lied about having a false memory, or she actually suffers from a condition that subjects her to false memories. What do you guys think? But it's just, it's very, very notable here that there would be, you know, it's like why, it's like in A Few Good Men. Why the two orders, Jack Nicholson? Why the two orders, right? Why the two orders? Why the contradiction? And I think here, what we're seeing is the defense calling out a contradiction. Why is this officer saying one thing and then saying another? And this must be confronted. This must be analyzed. This must be addressed. It has to be, you know? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm seeing some comments there. Thank you, guys. I'll do a shameless plug. Please subscribe to MazzaMedia's channel now on YouTube. There we go. There's my little plug. But yes, thank you so much. I know someone else said that too. Why doesn't Mazza have more subscribers? That's all right. Thank you so much, Minnie. You were the one that said that originally. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. You can hit that subscribe button right now and follow my channel. There we go. Shameless plug. Shameless plug. All right. But yeah, you know, that the contradictions. Why is she saying one thing? Why is she now saying another? These things, you know, any person that changes testimony or changes what they're saying must be addressed, must be confronted in a sense that they are confronted to the legal and lawful process only by the actual authorities that have the authority to ask these questions of her. That is very important, right? That the defense is addressing this, that they're addressing the police commissioner, they're going through the legal process of doing this, the appropriate measures of doing this, and asking the right questions. All right. In either case, her credibility and reliability as a law enforcement officer are irreparably compromised. If she lied under oath, Officer Dever is guilty of perjury. Very big statement here by the defense. Because if she told the feds one thing, then she went in the courtroom and testified to another, we know that that is lying under oath, and of course, it would make her guilty of perjury. Those are just the facts. It cannot be said any more simplistically than that. That is a major cause for concern, right? If she truly suffers from false memories, right, then the defense is going to get her one way or the other here. That's their approach, right? Look, she either lied, and if she lied, she's guilty of perjury. There's no way around that, right? Now, alternatively, the defense goes in that, you know, because you should always look at things two ways, right? Let's look at it one way. If she lied under oath. Now, if we're wrong, for any reason we're wrong here, and she didn't lie, and she truly suffers from false memories, then the defense weighs in here too, basically saying if she has false memories, then she's unfit to serve as a police officer. Big statement once again. Very big statement here. Unfit to serve. So either this woman is a liar under oath, a perjurer, or this lady's got some serious false memory issues and she can't be trusted to be serving as a police officer. And as people like to say, is this someone that you feel comfortable with having a badge and gun? So basically what the defense is saying is they're basically playing chess and they're saying checkmate. And if they're playing checkers, they're saying kingmate. That's basically what's going on here, because this is a situation in which Kelly Dever is now in a situation of great compromise. She either lied under oath or she's unfit to serve mentally because she has false memories. It's a wild set of circumstances here that, once again, would only be par for the course when it comes to matters related to the Karen Read case. Is that not true? The defense goes in further here. Her reports, statements, and testimony can no longer be presumed accurate, and any case, current or prior, involving Officer Dever must be reviewed accordingly. So basically, at this point, folks, this is basically, when you start to read stuff like this, you know, she's on leave. Allegedly, I believe she's on leave as we speak. This is basically, I mean, she's basically in Michael Proctor territory at this point right now, where the announcement of her firing or them conducting an investigation is all basically, you know, this is all on the table right now. And if you hear an article come out in the next couple of days or weeks where it says Officer Dever has been relieved from her duty as a Boston police officer, you'll know why. But this is a situation here where there's almost, I mean, if you're Officer Dever, there's almost no way out of this situation. You either lied under oath or you have false memories that compromise you as an officer. Let's see what Tepper has to say. Officers have to rectify in given intervals health, PT tests, firearms, and shooting. Specific requirements vary by department. Some departments don't do PT research. Some do. Yeah, I do think that police officers should do physical training, PT tests every 5 years for officers under 60, and probably every year for officers over 60, maybe even over 55. Maybe every 2 years for officers over, maybe every 2.5 years for officers over 55. I'm not going to make the rules, but just, you know, have health. You want to make sure your officers are healthy. And the last thing you want is an officer that has health issues and they're you know, once they go over 50 and, you know, they're physically, you know, I mean, I just think that it could be liable for a lawsuit, you know, but thank you, ShamWow. Of course, it was the defense timeline that changed her memory, not her meeting with Cox. Blame the defense. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, the defense timeline changed her memory, not her meeting with Cox. Yeah. Very good. ShamWow, thank you again. Appreciate it. All right, let's take a look. Boom. All right, so everything must be reviewed accordingly, what she's done past and present and prior. These circumstances bear directly on Officer Dever's credibility and represent impeachment evidence pursuant to Brady and Giglio. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Given these facts, it is clear that it is incumbent upon your department to immediately include Officer Kelly Dever in the Brady database, and all information surrounding her claimed false memories must be disclosed to the defense in every case in which she is a witness or potential witness. Huge information here. The defense is clamping down on every measure. All four corners of the room have been painted from the ceiling down to the floor. This is an absolute cornering by the defense on Officer Kelly Dever, as well as a confrontation to the office and desk of Officer Michael Cox. No question about it at all. As you are aware, both the prosecution and law enforcement share a constitutional obligation pursuant to the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment to affirmatively disclose exculpatory and impeachment information to the defense in every case. The Supreme Court, again, Alan Jackson and company are not messing around with this letter here. They're dropping the Supreme Court's name. The Supreme Court has mandated that when the reliability of a given witness may well be determinative of guilt or innocence, non-disclosure of evidence affecting credibility falls within the Brady rule. There you have it. So they're basically saying, look, she's unreliable. Because she's unreliable, we're now citing the Brady here, and guess what? Brady rule. So failure to disclose Officer Dever's intentionally false testimony and or her false memory condition would be a constitutional violation, subjecting both the prosecution and the Boston Police Department to severe sanctions, the least of which is the dismissal of every case she touches if it is determined that your department was on notice, which this letter formally provides, and the department does nothing to include Officer Dever in the Brady list, and thereafter provide the defense the exculpatory and impeachment materials in its possession, the sanctions can and will be far more extreme. So, they have been put on notice, ladies and gentlemen. They have been, I mean, this is an absolute cornering on the Boston Police Department is what this is. This is just absolute lockdown. They have clamped them down at every angle known to man. There's no way out of this. And this is a huge, huge letter. And this just shows you that Karen Read's defense team is not going away. They're coming. They're playing for keeps now. They're playing for keeps. This is not just about winning. You know, the defense has won the big prize, which is the trial. They won that, but they want all the lesser trophies too. They want everything else that they can possibly get on every single hand. And this needs to be done. I'm sorry. There's a lot of things going on here, and there's a lot of accountability that must be measured. And that defense is certainly not leaving that to chance here. Let's see. Have I already gone through everything on my list? I talked about Hank Brennan's pay. I talked about the fallout of people in there, resigning and being fired. I talked about the Michael Cox interview. I read the defense article from Boston 25. I reviewed the Dever Jackson letter, and I've went over the Cox Dever video. Wow. All right. So I guess I've done most of the show. All right. I guess I'm going to find some other things to talk about then. All right. Fine. All right. I didn't realize I was that far ahead. Okay. All right. Well, let's take a look. Let's see. I think I might have some more stuff here. Let's see. So we'll talk about the civil suit next. Karen Read's civil suit. All right. Here we go. All right. I did not realize I got through all my stuff that quick. Okay, let's stop. I'm doing it again. All right, let me stop sharing. I always got to remember when I share a Twitter image, I got to take it to an individual tab. All right, here we go. Share screen, and here we go. All right, here we go. So next up, we're going to talk about, let's put this here. That looks better. We're going to talk about, this is the motion to dismiss here by Karen Read and her defense team. So we're going to have defendant Karen Read's Rule 90 notice of motion to dismiss the plaintiff's complaint. So this is Paul O'Keefe as personal representatives of the estate of John O'Keefe, Paul individually, Maggie O'Keefe, grandparents, guardians, etc., versus the C&C Hospitality, McCarthy's, Waterfall, and Karen Read. So, pursuant to Superior Court Rule 9E, the defendant Karen Read hereby notifies the court that she served a motion to dismiss pursuant to Superior Court Rule 9A upon all parties on July 9th, 2025. So basically, she just let it now be known that motion to dismiss. In terms of the civil suit being filed, this is the O'Keefe, essentially the O'Keefe family, I believe, entirely against McCarthy's and Tia McCarthy's, the Waterfall, and Karen Read. Karen Read's filing for a motion to dismiss on that. The estimated civil payout here is about $50,000. I believe the O'Keefe family is asking for, no less. So that is that. I know Nan Gallagher had made comments about civil suits earlier in the week on one of the shows I was watching, and she mentioned that most civil cases end up settling out of court. So there might be some kind of a mediation or whatnot to get this thing settled or whatnot. We'll see how this goes. But obviously Karen's going to file a motion to dismiss. Don't blame her. I do the same thing as well. I think that a lot of things go favorably for Karen here in terms of that trial, and the way that played out. So we're going to see how this all tends to take course and how it all tends to play out. So we'll see. So yeah, Nan just verified it. Thank you, Nan. Nan said, yes, most civil cases, I think you might have even gone as far as saying, a high percentage of them, probably well over 90%, probably are thrown out as well. So thanks, Nan, for just double verifying that for me. But I thought that was an interesting comment I saw by Nan earlier in the week on this matter. It doesn't seem like I believe it. Not knowing much about the analytics of that, I can definitely believe civil suits because civilly, so 50K is the minimum. Yeah, that's what I thought as well. 50K was the minimum. That makes sense to me. Right. Yeah. So this is going to be interesting. This is definitely an interesting piece of the post Karen Read trial, just to see where this ends up going. I'm actually interested in seeing CF McCarthy and Waterfall, what they might say about this if it ends up going to a civil case, or it goes to court. But like Nan said, it's possibly based on the analytics, settling out of court or mediation out of court or whatnot seems to be the more better projected or more greatly expected route that this ends up taking here. So that'll be interesting to see where this goes. I'm definitely interested. Tepper has some things to say. Again, an attorney here. A 9E is the notice requirement here in Massachusetts to comply with deadlines, letting the court know the complete 9A package, motion and opposition filed together is coming. Thank you so much. Perfect. So more details are to come. This is what's great about having just legal experts like this that follow, are on shows, host shows, comment on shows, because folks like myself, we might know some things about the legalese of things, but the people that are actually attorneys, they know the ins and outs. They know all the data. They can make stronger projections towards stuff like this, so it's good. He says, when I first started practicing, I hated Rule 9A, but it streamlines things in Mass Superior Court, and I love it now. So change of opinion. If no collision, how can the car insurance pay? That's a great question, too. I like that question because, in essence, if there's no collision, then really Karen Read's not obligated to pay for any insurance, right? I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, unless, of course, she just files a lawsuit against the Canton Police Department for damages, alleging that they vandalized the vehicle themselves. Maybe she could go that route. Yeah, someone goes, there's no accident report. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. We'll find a way around it. If I'm in Karen's situation, I'm never driving that vehicle again, just because of the, why would I want to be driving around that vehicle? That's now it's now a character and the vehicle of it in itself is now a character in all of this. You know what I mean? It's no longer a vehicle. It's a character of it in itself. So, all right. Well, it's 1 o'clock. I got some exercising to do. I got to get some new chainsaw belts today too. So I got some stuff I want to do and enjoy the day. But good show. I was thinking for 2 hours today, but the material I got through in roughly an hour and a half, which was great. People said subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe. Me and Brian LTL is working on a show. I'm being invited as a guest on his program for August 3rd. Tickets are available for that. The event is pinned to the top of the chat. It'll be a live in studio show, so your ticket will get you in the LTL studio. Brian asked me to join him as a guest on that. So let me know. If you guys need any more questions, Brian should have that information for you. I'm looking forward to that program. We have pizza gathering as well, food there for you guys, and all that as well. So we'll see what comes up there. But yeah, I'm going to enjoy my afternoon now. Got some fun things to do. Not too fun, but fun things to do. Like I said, I have a couple pine trees I might be taking on later in the day, or maybe tomorrow. We'll see. So, yeah, what I do is I actually have it. I have mine duplicated. I just have it. They just duplicate it for me. That's what they do for my channel. I just bring my belt in and they copy the thing for me. I might just get 2 copies of it, and should be good to go. So I should be good to go. So I'm looking forward to the day. It's nice out there right now. It's 80 degrees at least, I think, and we'll see what ends up happening. So, guys, I used to say free Karen Read. Now I'm saying Karen Read freed. Please consider making a donation to Turtle Boy's Defense Fund as well. You can just Google Turtle Boy Defense Fund, make a donation if you can to help him out as he continues fighting for his freedom and battling corruption and all that. I got a safe chainsaw, Debbie. I should be fine. I got all kinds of safety measures on the thing, so should be good. So, ladies and gentlemen, have a great afternoon. I think some towns are doing fireworks this weekend as well. Some towns do fireworks afterwards. So if you're going to fireworks today, have a fun night. If not, have a great weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourselves. All right. From MazzaMedia, take care. Bye.